This was supposed to be my fresh start. After years of chaos, noise, crowds, rules dictating every inch of my life, I bought this land. 10 acres of freedom. No neighbors for miles. Just me, my animals, and the quiet. I built this life from scratch. The garden? Took 2 seasons to get the soil right. The chickens? Name every one. Yeah, even the grumpy rooster, Frank. This land was my therapy. My escape from, well, everything. Then this showed up. A homeowners association. For a farm outside city limits. No neighbors. No shared roads. No reason for an HOA. I checked the paperwork 100 times. My lawyer checked it. The county checked it. This land was never part of their jurisdiction. But Karen Whitaker didn't care. The letters kept coming. Fines doubled. Threats escalated. Pay or face foreclosure. I drove to their office, asked for proof. Karen handed me a map with my property conveniently inside their borders. Boundaries change, she said. No vote. No notice. Just changed. That's when I knew this wasn't a mistake. It was a shakedown. Then they showed up. They claimed to be HOA compliance officers. Told me I had 10 minutes to pack my things. But I've seen real badges. Real cops. And these guys? They weren't even good fakes. I called my brother, the county sheriff. What did he find? Karen's little empire was built on lies. But taking her down? That required a weapon stronger than lawyers. Stronger than threats. Turns out, the truth hits harder than any grenade. Karen's creativity knew no limits. Sunflowers. She fined me for sunflowers. Said they blocked the view. But the jokes stopped when the foreclosure threats started. Every Monday, like clockwork. New fines. New rules. Karen even demanded I repaint my barn beige. I'd built it by the book. Permits filed. Inspections passed. But Karen didn't care about facts. She cared about control. I drove 40 miles to their office. Proof in hand, deeds, surveys, county records. I slapped the documents on Karen's desk. Karen smirks, sliding over a map with the farm circled in red marker. Boundaries expanded, she said. No vote. No public notice. Just her Sharpie. Karen. Rules are rules, Mrs. Walker. Pay the fines, or we'll take the land. Your choice. I asked for their bylaws. Their voting records. Karen just leaned back and said, lawyers cost money. How long can you fight? They came at 2 a.m. 2 men in uniforms that barely fit. The men stride to the porch. One's badge reads HOA compliance officer. The other's shirt is untucked, revealing a pistol holstered awkwardly. You're trespassing, they said. Pack your stuff and leave. In Afghanistan, I knew the rules. The enemy wore uniforms too, but they didn't pretend to be cops. The faux officer shoves a fake eviction notice into my chest. I stared at his badge. Plastic. Peeling at the edges. What's your badge number? I asked. He froze. I didn't sleep for days. Every engine noise made me jump. Every shadow looked like Karen's SUV. This land was my therapy. Now it felt like a war zone. I'd survived firefights. IEDs. But this? This was worse. They weren't just attacking my land, they were erasing my peace. My brother, Sheriff Daniels, arrives unannounced. He studies the fake eviction notice, jaw clenched. Sheriff Daniels. These guys weren't cops. That badge? You can buy it online for $12. My brother's voice snapped me back. That's when I realized Karen didn't know who she was messing with. I had a new mission: expose her. And I had the ultimate ally: the truth. My desk is covered with evidence: forged documents, HOA letters, photos of the fake officers. A map of the county is pinned to the wall, red strings connecting Karen to shell companies. I dug deeper. Followed the money. Bank statements, LLC filings, a fake security company tied to Karen's brother-in-law. Karen wasn't just power-hungry, she was greedy. This wasn't about rules. It was a scam. My farm? Just one target. My brother's team found others. Elderly couples. Single moms. All bullied into paying fines for violations on land they owned. But Karen got sloppy. She left a paper trail and we were closing in. When I finally called my brother, I'll admit, my pride stung a little. I'd always been the one to handle my own battles. But this wasn't just about me anymore. I told him everything: the letters, the fake cops, the threats. He listened, jaw clenched so tight I thought he'd crack a tooth. He said, "This isn't just harassment. This is criminal. And I'm not letting it slide." We sat at the kitchen table, spreading out documents, making a plan. That's when the tide started to turn. He called in his deputies, and the investigation began. My brother's team didn't waste a second. They started with the basics: property lines, county records, HOA bylaws. Deputies highlight sections of the county map, showing the real boundaries. My property is clearly outside the HOA's reach. But what they found next was even bigger. A deputy holds up a stack of forged documents: HOA ballots, signatures, and fake meeting minutes. Signatures that weren't mine. Votes that never happened. Karen had been fabricating paperwork for years, redrawing boundaries with a pen and a wink. And those security officers? Turns out, they were hired through a shell company, paid under the table, and had no legal authority, just a couple of uniforms and a bad attitude. I and Sheriff Daniels visited neighbors. One elderly woman, Mrs. Jenkins, clutches a stack of threatening letters. A single mom, Maria, wipes away tears as she describes being fined for her kid's swing set. The more we dug, the more victims we found. People who'd been bullied for years. Some paid up just to keep the peace. Others lost sleep, lost money, almost lost their homes. Sheriff Daniels interviews Mrs. Jenkins, who hands over a letter with a forged signature. Maria shows a photo of her kid's playground, marked violation. Karen's reach was wide, but her arrogance left a trail. Every fake document, every threat, every dollar extorted, it was all there, waiting to be exposed. Sheriff Daniels pins photos of Karen, her board, and the fake officers to a corkboard. Red string connects them to the shell company, forged documents, and a stack of cash withdrawals. We had the evidence. Now it was time to show Karen she wasn't above the law. I'll never forget that night. The community packed the hall, faces I'd only seen from a distance. Some looked angry, others scared, but all of them were tired of being pushed around. One by one, people stood up and shared their stories. Fines for garden gnomes. Threats over holiday decorations. Intimidation for questioning the board. We laughed, we vented, and for the first time, we felt like a community, one that wasn't going to be bullied anymore. Karen's reign was built on fear and isolation. But now, we have each other. And together, we were unstoppable. I'd faced plenty of tough mornings in my life, but this one was different. The air was thick with anticipation. My brother briefed his team, double-checked the warrants, and gave me a silent promise that this was the day we'd take our lives back. At the HOA board's emergency meeting, Karen sits at the head of the table, flanked by her loyal board members. She's in full command mode, barking orders, shuffling paperwork, oblivious to the storm about to hit. They called an emergency meeting, probably to circle the wagons. Karen was in her element, but she didn't know the cavalry was coming in this time. It was real law enforcement. Sheriff Daniels and 2 deputies stride in, badges gleaming. The room falls silent. Karen's face blanches as the sheriff reads the charges: impersonation of law enforcement, forgery, conspiracy to commit fraud. Sheriff Daniels. Karen Whitaker, you and your board are under investigation for multiple criminal offenses. Please stand and come with us. Karen sputters, tries to protest, but the deputies calmly cuff her and her 2 closest allies. The rest of the board sits frozen, eyes wide. I'll admit, I felt a little sorry for her in that moment. But only a little. She'd built her empire on fear and lies. Now, she was finally facing the consequences. The legal battle was just beginning. Karen's lawyers tried every trick in the book, stalling, denying, even blaming me for provoking the HOA. But the evidence was ironclad. The judge, stern and no-nonsense, reviews the forged documents, listens to witness after witness. Mrs. Jenkins testifies about the threatening letters. Maria describes the intimidation over her kid's swing set. Karen tried to play the victim, claiming she truly believed my property was under her control. She even tried to blame her own board, saying they'd misled her. The judge wasn't having any of it. The judge slams down the gavel. Judge. This court finds the actions of the Lakeshore HOA and its president to be fraudulent, malicious, and in direct violation of state law. I hereby grant an injunction barring the HOA from any further action regarding Mrs. Walker's property. Criminal charges will be referred to the district attorney's office. I almost expected Karen to whip out another fake map and try to redraw the courtroom boundaries. But even she knew it was over. I never thought I'd be headline news, but the story exploded. Reporters called non-stop. My phone buzzed with texts from neighbors, friends, even strangers from other counties who'd faced their own HOA nightmares. For the first time, Karen had to answer for what she'd done. And for the first time, our community felt heard. People rallied behind me not just out of sympathy, but because they saw what was possible when you refused to back down. We didn't just win a court case. We reclaimed our dignity, our peace, and our right to live free from fear. And as the cameras rolled, I realized this fight wasn't just for me, it was for every homeowner who'd ever been bullied by someone who thought the rules didn't apply to them. I'll never forget the day they came to take it all back. Not my home, no. Every last sign, every threatening letter, every trace of Karen's so-called authority. Gone. Neighbors help repaint the barn its original red. I and a friend use a crowbar to pry the last HOA boundary sign from the ground. Cheers erupt. Someone brings lemonade. The mood is light, triumphant. It felt like a weight had been lifted. My land was mine again. No more fake fines. No more threats. Just the sound of the wind and the laughter of neighbors who, for the first time, felt like family. The board was dissolved. A new one was elected, this time with real oversight, real transparency. We put in rules to protect everyone, not just the loudest voice in the room. The new board chair, a retired teacher, addresses the crowd. No more secret meetings. No more intimidation. We're neighbors, not enemies. Applause fills the hall. It wasn't just about fixing what Karen broke. It was about building something better. Something fair. I thought my story was unique. Turns out, it was just the tip of the iceberg. After Karen's arrest, investigators started digging into other HOAs. People from all over started reaching out. Some had lost thousands to bogus fines. Others had been threatened with foreclosure or even physical intimidation. Karen wasn't the only one abusing her power. But now, the tide is turning. We started a movement. Lawmakers took notice. New laws were drafted, clearer rules, more oversight, real penalties for HOAs that crossed the line. It wasn't just about one farm or one town. It was about standing up for what's right everywhere. If you're watching this and you're facing HOA abuse, don't give up. Document everything. Every letter, every email, every phone call. Know your rights, read your deed, understand your state laws. And don't be afraid to ask for help. Sometimes, the law really is the best weapon you have. And remember, you're not alone. Stand with your neighbors. Share your story. The more we speak up, the less power bullies like Karen have. We fought back, and we won. You can too. I came here for peace. I came for the quiet, the space to breathe, to heal, to build something lasting. But peace, I learned, isn't always handed to you. Sometimes you have to fight for it. And let me tell you, I never thought my biggest battle would be against a homeowners association. But I learned something out here: standing up to bullies no matter what uniform they wear, no matter how many letters they send, is always worth it. This land, this life, is mine. And I won't let anyone take that away. If you've been targeted by an HOA, don't stay silent. Share your story, whether it's with a neighbor, a lawyer, or the world. Demand transparency. Ask for records. Attend the meetings. Don't let anyone make you feel powerless on your own land. And support your neighbors. Karen's biggest mistake was thinking she could divide us. But together, we were unstoppable. Together, we can put an end to abuse of power. One voice at a time, one victory at a time. Don't give up. Your home is worth fighting for. The investigation into Karen Whitaker's activities is ongoing. If you have information about HOA abuses in your area, contact your local authorities or homeowner advocacy groups. We're not just protecting property. We're protecting each other. And that's a fight worth joining.